As we discussed earlier in our show today, YouTube presumed for years that you were so stupid that you couldn't decide whether the 2020 election was stolen, so that they decided to come in and fact check and take down videos. Now, it should always be up to you. If you think about where this standard even comes from, it's totally ridiculous. It traces back to the 2016 presidential election. Before that, the internet had no fact checking on it, nor should it have. We literally had decades on forums and other places where people spoke freely, they had debates, they argued, and the stakes were never seen as existential. It was only after the 2016 election of Donald Trump that a bunch of people, elites mostly, got together and decided that no normal person could ever, in good conscience, vote for Trump. They must have been tricked into it, first by the Russians, then they blamed Facebook. Some crappily made Russian Facebook ads with a tiny budget compared to the rest of the entire campaign spending was somehow responsible for swinging 65 million votes. This led to the fact checking industrial complex. You had Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and others partner with so called news agencies to come together and to fact check posts that were seen on the platform. Once again, underlying this program was this idea: you are so dumb that you believe everything on the internet, and that you trust the Washington Post, the New York Times, PolitiFact, Snopes, any of these others to be able to arbiter the truth in a small d democracy where people make up their minds for themselves based upon the information that is presented to them. They actually undermine that with fact checking. Fact checking itself is broken and is wrong, as we all learned in the COVID, misinformation debates, as we learned in Wuhan lab, as we learned when the Hunter Biden laptop story was taken down. Their judgment cannot be trusted at a major macro level. So now bring in Elon, community notes. This has been the new program that Twitter has decided to launch, where they say that they have solved fact checking with this program, where you leave it up to the community. They say that this one is one where you can come in, apply to be a community notes fact checker. You will get voted by Twitter, vetted by them, and you will come through and algorithmically, as well as with human judgment, you will decide whether posts itself need context or not, and then how you decide which context is placed there. Well, the downfalls of this are fully on display here. Let's put this up there on the screen. When Chris Pavlovsky, he's the CEO of Rumble, noted, quote, community notes on Twitter is a really bad idea. It is a fancy word for fact checking, which will eventually be gamed, hijacked, and or cause more harm than good. I've seen this story too often, and I won't let it happen on Rumble. Well, you know what's really crazy is that Chris's post here, which literally is an opinion, then had a community note actually added to it. And in it, the community note says all Twitter accounts must meet eligibility criteria. Second, for a note to be shown on a tweet, it needs to be, quote, found helpful by people who have tended to disagree in past ratings. And lastly, notes track metrics that alert the team if suspicious activity is detected. So, in effect, what they did is they added context to Chris's opinion. This is way past even the line of fact checking. And it shows you that if you are able to and want to use the community notes platform when you disagree, you can try and add something to somebody's post that they did not want there to be in the first place. This is a total massive overstep in this entire system. The pushback that I've heard so far is, oh, but this is up to the community and not from top down. Okay, once again, just because community fact checking may be quote unquote better, at least in principle, than top down fact checking by the news organizations, does not mean that these platforms should be fact checking at all. And in fact, that was really my position. And it's something that I put out there yesterday, which is that people said, hey, this is the best solution to a very complex problem. The solution is dropping the presumption that preventing quote unquote disinformation is the responsibility of a platform at all. One person's disinformation will always be another's truth in a democracy. And it was really on display there where Chris put out an opinion and then somehow had a ridiculous community note actually attached to it. If you want to defend the community notes platform or program, that's fine. You should reply to Chris's tweet with your opinion. If others find that useful, they can like that tweet, or you can quote tweet what's happening with Chris's opinion and add yours. And if more people like it, then that will be seen more. You should not be able to forcibly add context, quote unquote, onto anybody's post that they never intended it to be there. It's actually a changing of the speech that they intended to put. Now, imagine also this in a more human context, because we can get bogged down in debates. Oh, the algorithm, some fake transparent, non-transparent process in which these people are selected somehow means that we're supposed to just put all of our trust in Twitter. I've seen that, fall apart so many times, but operationalize this to the real world. You're at a bar and how many people have been in this scenario? You hear a couple of people having a discussion. What they are saying is completely inaccurate, wrong, and stupid. Would you really want a scenario where people are able to go in and to interject and say, actually, what you're saying needs context? Or do you think that those people should be able to say what they want? And then, maybe if you're friends with them, you could come in and just say, "Hey, I heard you guys talking about this. Here's what I think is important, to understand." And then people can almost shrug and say, "Huh, that's kind of interesting." But the point is that people should have discrete opportunities to speak in this environment. They should not be having things placed directly on top of theirs in a non-transparent process, which is supposedly up to the community. And I actually thought Michael Tracy also made a really good point here, which is that in the current program, when communities consist of self selected users who join up because they're invested in a certain cause, like on Twitter, how many times have we said here before? Twitter is not representative of everybody, it is representative of a small, certain select base. Well, then, even the amount of people who are engaged in the process is by definition not representative of every constituency that might have a say about whether something needs context, needs truth, or anything added to it. So, look, I'm not picking on Twitter or Elon or any of these. What I am saying is that all attempts at fact checking themselves are bad. What we do here at Breaking Points is we don't, lob on to somebody else's speech. We try to add context to help people think about things. And if people want to do videos about us and what we've gotten wrong, I think that's completely fine. But imagine a world where if enough people got together, that they could interject something in the middle of one of our videos or on top of one of our videos simply because they thought that we weren't adding context to something. I object to fact checking in all forms that currently exist. I think Chris over at Rumble got it exactly right. And just because you like this one a little bit more than you like the top down one doesn't mean that all of them aren't bad in the very principle itself. So that's where I'm at, Crystal. I'm getting very annoyed. There are a lot of people who are sending.
Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Soccer and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us. And if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.